Hey everybody. So, sure you've all heard the recent news about the hearings. It's been in the Senate. The whistleblowers supposedly about UAPs or UFOs or whatever you want to call them, and the supposed revelations of the same revelations of this and that. But we can't tell you nothing. Then suppose whistleblowers saying about these that there's recovered biologicals and this and that. And um, so, if you've listened to any of my other past videos, you know the one thing I say most of all is that our government lies to us, and they consistently lie to us about everything. And I say they're always lying. Well, why should this be any different? Because it's a revelation or whatever, and a convenient. It comes at this convenient time when there's all this uh, political meandering going on with the president and his son, and all this corruption coming to light, and everything else with the border and this and that and the next thing, um, and all conveniently we have whistleblowers talking about a story that just a few short years ago would be considered fringe thing, and now it's network news worthy to say that these things exist, and we're being visited by, I have one over here actually. Where did that go? There it is. We're being visited by these guys here. Who, them. Yeah, that's what they're saying. These little guys. And the government knows all about it, and they got captured things and this and that. And, like I said, if the government's mouth's open, they're lying. So you get somebody out there, whether it's a whistleblower or whatever they're saying it is, and saying that there's this and that, and I'm very skeptical. Very skeptical. I'm not saying that there is no such thing as UFOs or UAPs or whatever the current term is. Obviously that's a no-brainer to say, oh, there are unidentified objects. I've seen them myself. There are things up in the sky that I have not been able to identify. Doesn't mean they're from another planet or something of that nature. Doesn't mean that they're not just some conventional or high tech weapon platform or something of that nature, or a balloon or swamp gas or anything above. But I'm not even beyond. I would say that it's an anomaly of some sort, possibly. It's just very convenient that these revelations are coming out in this administration. It seems like every time there's some kind of political fallout from something going on, we have another one of these disclosures coming out from this administration or somebody talking about it. Now, my personal belief on this subject is there could be vehicles, craft, whatever you want to say, that are not ours. I mean, not the people of our time. And I don't mean time travelers, but to me, if these craft are up there and they exist and they are not our things, or not or anybody on this planet, then they would be like a dimensional type of thing. There's theory that these things could be the fallen, and they can take on any form that they want. And if you notice that these things over time have evolved from originally looking like the first ones where the name flying saucer came from, and that's what they were. Everybody was the craze of seeing them was they were seeing saucers, like in my picture example. It's similar to that. And as time has progressed, they've been seen as other tubular shapes and cigar style shapes and like the Gulf Breeze ones look in Florida. And those ones look kind of different, and now the triangle ones are all the rage. Everybody's seeing the triangle one now, and then so they have evolved. So these things, whatever they may be, they they have the ability to change their form, which lends more the credence that they are some kind of entity, as in not a piloted vehicle from another planet. In my opinion, that's it. Things just don't add up for that to be a for that to be real. And I just don't buy that. They could be dimensional things. They could be going through portals or dimensional doors, or as I said, they could be the fallen. There's lots of people that speculate that is possibly what they may represent. You got to remember that um, it wasn't just one person. The one we call Lucifer or Satan, or one angel, I should say, that left heaven. There was when Satan challenged God and was banished. He had many angels that went with him that agreed with him. They were all banished to the earth. And they have run the place ever since. So these things that we're seeing could be what manifestations of those beings, and that's why I see them. They evolve in time. I mean, if you go and look at the Revelation or any other thing where they have descriptions of the angels, you will find they are quite strange in the descriptions of them. And of course, being with the time they were written about in the Bible, that they described them as in whatever they maybe in terms of they perceived it at the time, of course. The wheels within wheels and fire and the eyes from every side and like if you've looked around, you've probably seen drawings of these some of the angels that are described in Revelations, and they are bizarre looking, to say the least. Um, so they can take on any form they want, obviously, and so they're going to appear to be some benign entity and to us, it used to be, UFOs was a fringe topic among people. You had the out there crazies that I believe flying saucers and being abducted and this and that and all this stuff. And evidence has mounted over the years that there is some credence to these UFOs being involved with certain things like disappearances and abductions and possibly cattle mutilations and missing people, and that they kind of tie into that, and they're the phenomenon of these things is a real thing. They're not. Then there's a lot of evidence to show that they're not made by us because of their movement, their ability to do certain air maneuvers and underwater maneuvers way exceeds what we're capable of doing, as far as we know at this point, even technologically. Um, they can move like the underwater version of these things can move very fast underwater, which is obviously harder than air to move through because of the density. So there's that, and then we do have I believe the footage that they show us is that of this so-called tic tac and things like that. I believe whatever those things are, I believe those are real. They're not they're not they're not the Operation Bluebeam type of thing that everybody's talking about too. They're substantial real thing, whether they are piloted by another being inside of a metal or carbon fiber shell or whatever. That's debatable. I think it's more likely that they in and of themselves are what they are, which is the fallen. They are an angel, a fallen angel. And I think the province, you're seeing more of them, and they're becoming more of Providence just by normal people because we're nearing the end. Um, but I think the government coming forward and basically endorsing, which has been a fringe topic for a long time, and more than one time in this administration, it tells me distraction. It tells me this is it's just nonsense. They're going to sensationalize some story of some guy of he's heard from a friend, has heard from a friend, heard from a friend. The song goes. And to me, that's what this is, and it's just a distraction to look the other, because it's the same day as basically that Hunter Biden, his court appearances and all that stuff going to come all went all screwy on him. Well, his defense case fell apart, and the same day as that, instead of getting out of the news cycle for let's have this hearing about these little green men from you know Venus, Mars, and all the stars. And so it's convenient, and we all want to believe that kind of stuff. We all want to believe in space and these aliens and this galactic universe, and we all want to believe that stuff. And there was a time when I believed in space fully, wholeheartedly, and because it made sense that there's all these billions and billions of stars. There's got to be the same amount of planets out there, and we can't be the only life form that's in this whole wide vastness. But the older I get, the more I come to realize that that narrative just doesn't hold up, and it it kind of falls apart pretty quickly when other things are factored in, and um, the whole space thing is it's kind of built on a house of cards when it comes to how that all works, and some of it's kind of shady at best on what they're telling us about that. So I definitely question that whole narrative as it is, much less that there's the billions and billions of stars with all of the planets and whole the galactic universe and all these other space, the aliens that come, and there's the good aliens, the bad aliens, and there's the greens and the grays and the Nords, and so just on with all these different types of species to talk about, and there's just a lot of things to it. If everything were real about it, then it would be extremely difficult to get anywhere in space. For one, the vast distances that we're told that there are, and the ability to they have to be able to travel faster than light, or fold space, or warp drive, it's because the distances are just too astronomical to be able to travel it, like even as fast as we can possibly travel right now, which is not a, in the grand scheme of things, maybe 20,000 miles per hour. That's a long drive for even to the moon in 3 days. And so I'm talking about, and that's supposedly in our atmosphere. So you want to get to a near star, which is talking light years away. Unless these supposed aliens have, they obviously would be highly technological, but they'd have to really just throw the laws of physics and everything out the window and be able to just fold space or jump through gates or something and just bang, 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 bang. But, that's just spinning a lot of disbelief there for me anyway. I like just to stay more based in what I see, where I can count and that kind of thing. And I kind of think that it just doesn't add up to me. I don't believe it. It's just my opinion, of course. It's my opinion, and but I base that on the fact that, like I said, these people